Today, we're diving into something called the Jackpot Strategy. It's basically a framework for, shifting your focus and building what the author calls inner wealth.
All right, so let's just kick things off with a number 143. What is that? Well, according to data from 2024, that's how many minutes the average person spent on social media every single day.
And when you actually do the math on that, it's kind of staggering, right? That's almost a full-blown part-time job just scrolling. It really is this modern attention crisis. And it just makes you stop and think, what could we be building with all that time if we just, invested it a little differently? And that right there is the big question at the heart of the Jackpot Strategy. It's all about a system for taking that focus, all that energy, and pulling it away from the distractions and pouring it back into your own personal growth, your own fulfillment.
Okay, so where do you even begin? Well, the very first principle of this whole strategy is super simple but absolutely crucial. Before any of the tools or techniques can work, you've got to start with your mindset. It is literally the foundation for everything that comes next. The whole thing really boils down to understanding two core ways of thinking. First, you've got the fixed mindset. This is when you believe your abilities are just set in stone. It makes you shy away from challenges because, hey, if you fail, it feels like a final verdict on who you are. But then there's the growth mindset, and this is the game changer. It's the belief that your skills are built through effort. It's the engine that actually pushes you to look for challenges, and that's how you end up achieving so much more.
So really, the first real step in all of this is just taking a moment to be honest with yourself. Which one of these mindsets is really guiding you day to day? Because you can't figure out where you're going until you know exactly where you're starting from. It's that simple.
All right, so once you start nurturing that growth mindset, you need a system, right? Something to turn all that potential into actual, tangible progress. And this is where the strategy gets really practical and hands-on. It gives you a whole toolkit.
So the main tool, the centerpiece of this whole system, is something called the Grow Sheet. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a worksheet that's designed to take those big, kind of fuzzy goals we all have and just break them down into concrete, manageable, actionable plans. And what I love about it is how simple it is. It's just a 3-step process. First, you set goals across 3 key areas of your life: personal, professional, and interpersonal. Next, you figure out the small, manageable steps you need to take to get there. And finally, and this is key, you actually schedule those actions into your calendar. That's what makes it real. That's what turns a wish into a plan. But hey, the Grow Sheet is just the beginning. It's just one piece of a much bigger system. The strategy actually gives you a whole suite of tools. You got things like the dime table to track your daily consistency, the AMP page to get really clear on your motivation. Each one is designed to help you look at your journey from a slightly different angle, so you can analyze, plan, and track your progress. Okay, so you've got the mindset down, you've got the tools, but what are you actually building towards? What is the jackpot here? Well, this is where the strategy gets really interesting because it completely redefines what we think of as success. The big idea here is to move away from that traditional kind of narrow definition of wealth, the one that's all about money. Instead, it suggests the real prize, the ultimate jackpot, is something so much broader, more holistic, and way more personal. And that ultimate prize has a name: inner wealth. And no, this isn't just about what's in your bank account. It's about achieving a state of real abundance, of balance across all the parts of your life that actually truly matter to you. So this inner wealth idea is built on 3 key pillars. You've got financial wealth, of course. That's your ability to earn and profit. But, and this is a big but, just as important are health wealth. That's your physical, intellectual, even your sleep wellness, and relational wealth. That's all about the quality and richness of your connections with family, friends, and your community. There's a really powerful quote that just perfectly captures this whole idea. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Think about that. Where we put our energy and our attention, that's what we truly value. The whole point of building inner wealth is to get really conscious about choosing what those treasures are for you. So let's bring this all together. How does it all connect? Well, the goal here isn't to just blindly follow some rigid formula. It's to use this entire system to become what the author calls a trailblazer in your own life. What this strategy does so well is create this clean, direct line from your internal mindset through the actions you take every single day, all the way to this new, richer definition of wealth. It's a system that finally connects the why you're doing something with the how you're going to get it done. And at its core, the message is this. If you want to blaze your own trail, it takes a fundamental trust in yourself, a trust that you can actually create change. And this whole system, it's really designed to help you build that exact trust, step by step. So, in the end, the Jackpot strategy gives you the map and it gives you the tools. But you are the one who defines the destination. And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to think about. What does your inner wealth actually look like? What is your personal jackpot?